It really is a shame that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows is making a more conscious effort to do a lot more of what the animated series did. And it's a shame that it wasn't as successful. I mean, granted, critically it did well, and those who saw it said it was truer to the cartoon, but at the same time, the movie didn't perform as well at the box office, and as a result, no more movies in this particular continuity are going to be made. And yeah, half and half, it is better, and yet also worse than the first film. And yeah, for the reasons stated, as well as for the reasons that haven't been stated yet. Here's the plot. The Ninja Turtles, Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Leonardo, are fighting against the Foot Clan and in the shadows as usual, but there are problems that arise as a result. For example, April O'Neil, played by Megan Fox, is investigating Dr. Baxter Stockman, played by Tyler Perry, for shady circumstances, and they discover that he's connected to the Foot Clan. As a result, Shredder, played by a different actor this time, escapes from custody with the help of Stockman and an alien brain type creature called Krang, played by Brad Garrett, with the goal to open a portal to Krang's dimension so as to use it to take over the world, of course. In order to be able to enact their plan, they enact the help of two other escaped prisoners, Bebop, played by Gary Anthony Williams, and Rocksteady, played by Sheamus. Using the special purple ooze from the same kind of experimentation that turned the Turtles mutant, they use it to turn Bebop and Rocksteady into a mutant warthog and a mutant rhinoceros, respectively, in order to better fight the Turtles. Meanwhile, April is Vern Fenwick, played again by Will Arnett, is taking the credit for everything the Turtles has done in order to keep their identity secret. A corrections officer named Casey Jones, played by Stephen Amell, who was there the night that Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady escaped, is seeking to ends up teaming up with April in order to try to bring down Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady, and ends up teaming up with the Turtles too. At the same time as this, trying to avoid the chief of police, Rebecca Vincent, played by Laura Linney, and then later trying to convince her that the Turtles are allies, as well as that there's a bigger threat than the perceived threat that the Turtles have. So, yeah, there's not too much going on here, but at the same time there is a lot going on here, surprisingly enough. And again, it doesn't always work, and especially considering that there is a bit of a distraction in the sense that they are doing more of the animated show, from what I can tell. Again, I'm not familiar with the show, I only go off of what I know about the show. And at the same time, it seems like they're trying to half-heartedly do the same things as the show, but at the same time still try to do their own things. For example, they have Bebop and Rocksteady having the same kind of obnoxious tone that the Turtles kind of have, or couple of the Turtles kind of have, at least one of them. Looking at you, Michelangelo. And yeah, the part where they look down their pants to see the size of their, butts, it's not a great scene. Also, a lot of people commented on how Megan Fox wasn't even trying this time, unlike her actually trying to put a conscious effort to give in a good performance in the last film. And I could kind of see that. At the same time, I could kind of not. She just kind of played it the same for me than she did in the first film. I guess maybe because they had less for her to do here. I mean, granted, they had plenty for her to do, but at the same time, just not enough to adapt her character in any way. Will Arnett, he's barely in the film, and Stephen Amell. Well, let's talk about him. I haven't really watched Arrow, but from what I've seen from clips and pieces, and from what I've heard, he's not good. He's not great in this movie. He's much better on that show because, he manages to have a more serious tone to him on that show. He manages to really helps sell the material of that show, from what I can tell. Here, I can't exactly blame him. Again, it's kind of just what he was told to do that's making him not be that impressive here. I guess Gary Anthony Williams and Sheamus are fine in their roles. Again, like I said, they're really overselling it. But at the same time, you get the sense that a lot of this movie is, well, the first film was kind of cartoonish, but at the same time, trying to also be grounded in reality. This one is far more cartoonish, to be certain. And there's not much wrong with that, because, like, hey, it's nice every now and then to have a live-action cartoon, have a film that is just trying to be as absurd and over the top as possible. But, again, we got Sponge Out of Water the year before this, and that was a way, way better live-action cartoon film, and that had cartoons in it. And yeah, a lot of people said that Laura Linney's character was a wet blanket and that her decisions didn't make sense. I can kind of see that. I kind of feel like it's not that distracting. I mean, she's barely in the film as it is. The best thing I could say about this movie is that it does have a colorfulness and a joy to it that is appreciated for the fact that it's giving just trying to give all it can in that direction. And while it doesn't always work, there is a certain charm that is coming off as a result. I mean, but at the same, and the visual sequences do have an impressive reach for a Nickelodeon movie. Once again, I mean, this part where they jump out of the plane in order to get to the one that Bebop and Rocksteady are on, that's an impressive scene. And the CGI on the characters, the Turtles and Bebop and Rocksteady, it's well done. But then, the thing is, the scene where they're being chased down the river trying to fight where they're chasing each other down the river trying to fight for the device, it's very similar to the scene in the first one where they race down the mountain, and it's not as nearly as impressive. It doesn't stand out in comparison. Again, I think Noel Fisher in particular is Michelangelo, constantly playing the most bro-y of the four, and the one who's attracted to April, even though they're technically kind of like her brothers, because her father was the one who created the... I didn't really talk about that with the first film. Heck, I didn't talk about the fact that the first film had Careless Whisper in it. This one has Spirit in the Sky and a little less conversation. You would not... If you'd said any of those three songs would be in a Nickelodeon movie, I would have thought you were nuts. So, again, like I said, there's a harmlessness to this film, and if I have to pick between the two, it's really hard, because they both work in different ways, and yet they both don't work in different ways, too. Like, for example, the seriousness of the first film works better than the seriousness of this film, but then the goofiness of the first film doesn't work as well as the goofiness of this one, and I suppose maybe there's a little bit more of an immature-ish tactic to this. I mean, you don't have to... I mean, it's just pure fan service to have Megan Fox dress up as a sexy schoolgirl just for the purpose of having her dress up as a sexy schoolgirl. I get it, that's supposed to be a disguise that April wears, but at the same time, again, you're just kind of more so doing it for Megan Fox more than anything else. And it's not necessary. And yeah, I kind of understand that when you get Megan Fox for a film, you kind of expect that she's going to bring the sexy, and she's very good at bringing the sexy. Again, you need to have her there for just more than that, though. Although I will say that it's certainly not to the levels of just having Kate Upton in The Other Woman for the sake of having her in The Other Woman to just be the attractive model type girl who Nicolaj Coster-Waldau was cheating on Leslie Mann and Cameron Diaz with. But I digress. So yeah, again, this film, it has, again, both these movies have eccentricities to them that are certainly in line with whatever you get from Michael Bay. And again, as a producer on both occasions, and not the director. I'd say that compared to the later Transformers movies, this as well as the first film do try to offset and try to have more of a distinct difference between themselves and something that's not just simply doing the bare minimum. At the same time, though, I think there is more effort that could have been put into this to really go all out and make it more like the cartoon, from what I can tell. I think would have been to the film's benefit. Take it for what it's worth and see if you will come out of your shell or you'll come out of the half shell on this one.